So good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to our lesson. Those who are just getting in, good afternoon, and thank you for making it through. Yeah, those who are muting their microphones, that's wonderful. And in just about 2 minutes, I will start sharing the lesson for today. Okay, so today we are going to be looking at agriculture in the district, and I'll give you time to come into the lesson and also participate. Don't forget we have our chat section. So if you want to chat, feel free to drop a line. And if the voice is not so clear for you, you can also let me know. So in today's lesson, don't forget we really have very limited time, so we have to use it as essentially as possible. So we're going to start with the definition of agriculture, which means the growing of crops and keeping of animals. And as we can see in our first slide, we have to go back and look at the different ways or when it actually started. As we know that most of the things started with our ancestors, they also are the founders of most of the things that we actually do in our daily lives today. And whatever they have practiced, whatever they have shared with us, is what we term as the traditional culture. And in this case, since we're dealing with the agriculture, we call it traditional agriculture. Some of the practices they did, because we have already seen, agriculture is the growing of crops and keeping of animals. Here is a list of a few animals. This is a cow. That's a pig. That's a duck. We have, if you have a question, put it in the chat. So at this time, we've already seen the different animals that they try to raise. Now, here are some of the plants, which I want to check at least if some of us are looking at them. And then you can give me the examples as we put them, as we add them to the slide. I think I will use the chat, and whoever answers, I will mention their name and the answer they've given me. So let's start. I need your input here. I need your input, just like we did the other time. You give me your idea, and then we put it on the work as well. Just type it. I am waiting for your responses, and as I am waiting for the responses, I welcome those who have just joined us. Our topic of today is agriculture in the district. We've started by looking at the traditional agriculture carried out by our ancestors. We have defined it, and we are just looking at the different agricultural products or animals and plants that were being practiced by these ancestors of ours. So we've gone through the animals, and we've gone through now the plants. which I want your ideas so that they can also feature in the lesson. If you have an idea, please just type it in the chat. I'm waiting to see what you guys have as your feedback. We have a list of the crops. We also have a list of the animals. Thank you so much. Surya says some of the plants are sorghum, millet, and cassava. So I'm going to add those ones to the list. Thank you, Surya. Samuela, thank you, Samuela. She says they grew maize and beans. Bethia Akamanzi says they grew millet and banana. Thank you so much. It's okay, we can take our list up to 10. Once the list is up to 10, then we can go to the, I'm putting this on the wrong part. So we have, Casper says sweet potatoes. Thank you, Casper. I hope you grow sweet potatoes in Zimbabwe. I see cassava and beans from Gael Shema. Gael Shema, thank you so much. Ashton says wheat. Thank you. Two more, then we go to the animals. Just two more. Peas, thank you. Amanda, thank you for your contribution. One more. Sorghum is already there, Edith. Thank you, though.
Green banana.
Green banana, I think we already have it as number 5. But thank you. Bethia says posho, which comes from maize. I see soya beans from Ashton. Ashton, thank you so much. So can we start the list for animals? Thank you so much for your ideas on the crops. That was fantastic. I need ideas now again on the animals. Cows, okay. Brain and Edith, you both typed cows. That's wonderful. Cows, I might also as well just call it cattle. Okay, any other?
On est en direct là.
Kalia, just type. Do not raise your hand. Type. Go to the chat.
I don't know how to send it. Teacher.
Yes, please.
I don't know how to send it.
Down on your screen, you should be able to see when you move your cursor, you should be able to see participants and something like chat just beside participants. Can you see it?
No, teacher.
How about on the participants?
Teacher, I couldn't see.
Okay, just give me your answer.
Okay.
What's your answer?
Pigs.
Pigs. Okay, thank you so much. Pigs. That's correct. Brain says hens. Edith says chickens, which is all the same. I have goats from Akamanzi. Cherissa has put them together. Goats, sheep, not sheeps. Sheep and cows.
Ducks.
Sheep.
Ducks.
Ducks. Thank you.
Chicken.
Mhm.
Chicken.
Chicken. Okay, chickens. Okay. All right. Thank you so much for your ideas, because all this goes back back into our notes and it helps us. I'm going to change this the presentation into a PDF so I can attach it just in case you need it. You need it aside, maybe for further study. So thank you so much for your ideas. Those who have just come, I know some people enter in between. The topic is agriculture in the district, and we have not yet moved very far. We have looked at the definition of agriculture, which is the growing of crops and keeping of animals. And then we have also talked about when it started. It started with our ancestors. And then we have looked at what are the things that our ancestors dealt in with their agriculture. What kind of animals were they? What kind of crops were they? And so our friends have been giving us different ideas. So now we want to move on to the next slide, which is the importance of the agricultural products. All these are things that I just get from your book and help us to understand and move on with the topic. And the red lines are just there for you to help you in order to summarize, because after this slide, we have to make a summary of the importances. And as we can see, these animals, these plants were of a huge importance to our ancestors because, number one, you can see that they were getting food from these animals and plants, and they were also getting meat and milk, which are very obvious things when you have animals. Then they had something very interesting, the skins, which they used to make their clothes. Some of us who have visited the museum in Kanombe, we have been able to see some of the people dressed in animal skin. Cherissa, can you please type for me what you didn't understand so that I can be able to go back? Otherwise, the whole thing is being recorded and will be put back on the website just in case you missed out something. So we are looking at the importances of these agricultural products, because if you have something, it's because it has some use to you. Number three, we are looking at manure from animals. We are looking at manure from, you cannot take notes during the lesson because it will take a lot of time and it is being recorded. Shaka. Yes, Jaden, what is the problem? Because our microphones are supposed to be turned off and then you can write in the chat. Ashton, I'll get back to you. Jaden, if you raise your hand, say what you have to say so that we can be able to continue. Okay, the person who was saying excuse is not able to say what their problem is. Maybe they are going to leave it in the chat. Usabjimana says they have the ancestors is asking if they had markets. They didn't have permanent markets like we have today. And that one we're going to look at it in the coming lesson when we talk about trade in the district. Okay? Then Suleya says animals waste make manure. That is fantastic. Because we know cows produce dung, and then the dung is kept for a few days and taken to the garden, and then it acts as the manure and helps the soil to get more fertile and able to support the plants. Number 4, our ancestors used agricultural products as gifts. We saw that in the previous lesson where they were giving away gifts like ibijega. So in this case, if you are getting married, your family would receive some cows as a token of appreciation. If you are having like a party, maybe your son has done something very wonderful, then you would celebrate using the animals. Number 5, some parts of agricultural produce were used to feed the domestic animals. We all know that most of these animals actually feed on the plants. So sometimes they are fed, like the banana peelings. When you peel the banana peelings, you can feed them to the cows, or you can feed them to the goats, even the sheep. The chickens also like maize. If you leave your maize hanging out to dry to make posho, the chickens will enjoy it. So we can see that some of these agricultural produce are used to feed the domestic animals. So some remains of agricultural products were used as fuel for cooking. This one I've seen it most especially on the maize cobs. When you break your maize, you take away the maize, what is left there to dry, and some people actually use it to make fire and prepare their food. Ryan is asking, what did they use to do long time ago? Ryan, we have already looked at some of these tools like the African hoe, and others would even use the sticks. Bethia,
Teacher, I can't hear you.
Sorry? See me. If you don't hear me, at least try to change your position and go to a place where the network should be able to be stable. And if everything fails, still there will be a video for you guys on the website. So you can as well find it there. But at least make sure that at least you're following the lesson. You can see what we are discussing about. And then later on you'll follow it at your own pace. So lastly, these products were also sold. People sell animals, people sell crops, and there's something very interesting which is called the barter trade. That will be also our main focus in the coming lesson when we talk about trade. And it has been coming in several times. So I hope you still remember. Barter trade, exchanging something for what you do not have. If I have maize and you have beans, I need the beans. I give you my maize, which you need, and I take your beans that I also need. So after that explanation, what I want you guys to do to help me is to help me to summarize whatever we have been talking about here. Just pick out a small point at random, and then we're going to edit it. Okay, I see int admin is, I think this is Bilkis, you raised your hand. I might also take a few of your hands so that we can see. Maybe we can whatever you have. Bilkis, I see you're raising your hand. Do you want to talk?
Yeah.
If you want
Teacher, what was the question?
What is butter trade?
barter trade, we say that barter trade
Yes.
is when you exchange something for what you do not have.
Okay.
Yeah, if I have rice,
Can't hear you.
if I have rice but I need bananas, you have bananas, so I give you the rice, you give me the bananas, and we are done. Yeah, okay, Bill Ashton, yes, you want to share something, please. Be quick in like 30 seconds. Ashton, do you want to share something? Laura, yes, please talk to us.
Just in summary, I can say animals give us things to use, like eggs. Like hens give us eggs to cook. Like snakes give us not food, but they give us skin to make shoes and.
I can now.
Okay, thank you so much. Is there any other person? Yes, Joshua.
Cows give us milk and meat.
Okay, cows give us milk and meat. Thank you so much. Ryan, I saw your hand. Ryan,
Cows give us milk.
okay.
Cows give us milk.
Excuse me, teacher. Excuse me,
Yes.
teacher. That like cows give us meat, skins to do the to make bags or shoes, and meat
Cows.
or milk.
Cows.
Teacher,
We have
cows
10
give
minutes
us milk.
only.
Yeah. We can get food from animals. Teacher, we get food from animals.
Which food?
We can get from sheep to make meat. We can get meat, clothes.
Please don't talk at the same time.
Excuse me,
Don't talk at the same time.
Okay, teacher. It's me.
Cows give us.
Okay. There are some people also going through the chat, so we have to also respect the chat. Animal products like meat and milk. Kalia Ineza, thank you. Samuela Kundwa, some crops were used as food. Meat from animals. Those who need the question, we are just summarizing here what we have just seen on this slide. So it is to use what we can remember to come back here and just make a summary of the whole lesson. Laura, I will come back to you.
Teacher Gilbert. Teacher Gilbert. Excuse me, Teacher Gilbert.
Animal skin for clothes. Yes, Jaden. Jaden, what are you asking?
I wanted to give an answer.
Please go ahead.
Hens give us eggs and meat.
Okay, that was the first one. And then we already have meat from animals. But thank you so much for your idea. Did we say milk from cows? Yeah. Milk from cows, actually, and goats. Some people enjoy goat milk.
More people over here. Teacher, how do you we send a message? Because teacher.
On your screen there should be something. Yeah, on your screen there should be something about chat. So it's the one you'll be looking for.
Yeah, I wrote.
I think I have to wind up this lesson from here. We still have a few minutes. We still have a few minutes. Animals gave us manure. Thank you. Thank you, Bethia. Animals give us manure. Animal skin for drums. Thank you so much. Animal skin gives or for making drums. Thank you. Albright crops give us medicine. Thank you so much.
Animals give us meat.
Meat is already there.
Animals give us meat.
Meat was one of the first things we saw. So I think I will need to thank you so much from here for your responses. Thank you so much. We have to continue to the...
Excuse me, Teacher Gilbert.
The rest of the ideas you have, please go through the chat, because if you keep on saying, excuse me,
I wrote in the chat.
we're not going to listen to one another.
I wrote in the chat.
There's too much noise. Yeah, you people were behaving so well since the start of the lesson. Yeah, we have about 4 minutes only.
So much. Thank you, teacher.
So our last part for today is to look at the differences. You know, we are looking at what our ancestors left with us. What are the things they did? And now we want to see what are the things we do today. Because as we all know, things change from traditional to modern. Long time ago, people used to ride bicycles. Today, they drive cars. So that's another difference. So now we want to see in agriculture what was happening there. Please turn off your microphones for now. Just a few minutes.
Okay, teacher.
Traditional is what our ancestors used, and modern is what we have today. And here are a few differences. Please turn off your microphone. Thank you. Now, in traditional agriculture, we have the tools that were used. We have the ordinary hoes that we saw in the previous lesson, and today we have the improved ones. We even have the tractors and the plows. Unfortunately, I didn't come with the pictures to show you, but I'm sure we are aware of these tractors. Then the type of crops, few types were grown, because in our crops that we saw, we didn't see things like spinach, we didn't see things like dodo, which were also, we didn't see the French beans, which are also part of the crops. The seeds, the planting, they usually just went on throwing and then tilled the land to cover the seeds. But today we have planting in lines and proper spacing.
Teacher.
We'll only have 1 minute, so if you have anything you want to say, please. There's a chat that I wanted. Okay. Yeah, no problem. Then we have the inputs. Long time ago, they didn't use these chemicals to fertilize the soil. As we saw, they used dung. But today, there are some fertilizers you have to actually buy. And sometimes they only help the plant you have, but they destroy the other plants because they have some chemicals that are not compatible with the other plants. The size of gardens, we can see that they had small pieces of land. Because of the hose, they couldn't handle all the huge piece of land with their hose. But today, because of the tractors, in one day, somebody can dig a whole football field and plant crops. So I think this marks the end of this lesson, and we are off for now. So I'm going to record, this one has been recorded, so we're going to post it on the website.